Right, so we're going to add another layer of fracture onto this now, so all the tiny kind of block pieces of the glass. So I'm going to use another ABD material fracture, and because of the shape of these, we don't need to use the glass system. We'll just leave it on the concrete, right? And I'm just going to set this up before we start. So I don't want any detail, no chipping. The primary fracture, we just want the one. I'm going to call these, so I can refer to these parts as the bits. Okay, that will help me out. I don't want to scatter any points in the node itself. I'm going to make my own scatter points, and here I'm going to turn off this volume thing. So it's going to be trying to generate its own volume. So let's connect a scatter to the geometry up here. Press Alt to tidy this up. Okay, I'm going to turn off force total count, and I'm going to do a density of 15,000. Okay, so we've got a lot of points there. We should get some nice tiny kind of brick shape pieces, and this will take a while. So I'll plug this in, and it will be a few minutes. Well, actually, before we do that, we need to turn on this input point so that it's looking for these points to generate the fracture. I think everything's ready here. Make sure you do that, that you're ready to go before actually trying the fracture, because it can take a while. So let's just wait for that. There we go. So I've got all my tiny little pieces there now, which will look good once they're fractured and we get the light passing through them. So I also want to isolate the windscreen, specifically the constraints of the windscreen, to be able to treat them in a different way. So I've got to group them, and what I'm going to do is use points and just use a box, and let's turn that off, keep in bounding regions, bounding object, call this windscreen. Okay, and then start to position it into place. If I just bring it up, highlight there, you see we're making the selection now. So I'll just make it wide enough first. Okay, and then spacebar and 3 to go to the side view, and then I'm going to try and rotate it from here. If I press Y on my keyboard, I can get this gizmo, and I can turn it. Just bring it in like that. So I'm just trying to get in that space there. Spacebar and 1, select that, and then looks like we're making the correct selection there. Good. I'd like to have this on primitive, so I'm just going to find a group, promote. Drop that down here from points to primitives, and the windscreen group that I just got there. Okay. Now let's put an ABD connected faces. Well, before I do that, just to show, what I was talking about, the difference between, the constraints that we get between the two. If I get an ABD exploded view, connect that up. Okay, and show constraints, and then maybe I can try to color constraints on the inside. So I've got groups that were made here which were not made there. So I think if I group the glass concentric and glass radial, make them red or something, and you can see what I mean. We get these patches of constraints that we can treat in a different way, make weaker or make stronger, or maybe they don't have soft constraints, but the parts in the middle do. Lots of different things we can do with that. So that's really handy. So I'll get rid of those. I'm also going to use this ABD connected faces again, so that we can render the glass without seeing the inside faces. So just remember to turn off this create constraints. That will delete the constraints that we've just built. Connect up these constraints and this will take a while, you'll see now. There we go. So that's all done. We're kind of getting this exploded view visualized here, but you know, don't worry about that. I don't know why we've got an error. Not enough sources. Maybe it's looking for proxy geometry. I think it works without anyway, so don't worry about that. Let's see. Yeah, we can change that. We can put that back down to 0. You can actually leave it turned up as well. That doesn't matter. And then I'm going to connect in abd.io. We'll just double check. Ah, there we go. The error's gone now. I'm not sure why that was there before. So because they take quite a while, I'll cache the fracture now. And just to show you, we should have, yeah, so this face ID is generated by this node. So that tells the primitives what primitive they're closest to. And then a distance, primitive distance as well. How far away are they from that? From that other primitive. Okay, so let's cache this out. We just want to save the current frame. Let's save it to hip. We'll do week for geo slash let's call this glass fracture dot geo and save that to disk. Okay, and then load from disk, and then hopefully this means, you know, every time we turn, well, not hopefully, this should mean that every time we turn on open Houdini, we won't have to load up or, you know, go through this fracturing again, as long as the we leave the render flag on here or lower down.